Hello Reds, welcome along to All for United.
Hello and welcome to All for United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Kind of calmed down a little bit now from a couple of days ago. Still angry, still annoyed, still emotional, still loads of things going on in my head, and we'll be discussing that throughout the show. But thank you first of all to Natalie and Deborah, who went live at 4:30, roughly 4:15 on Wednesday afternoon with the breaking news of Casey Stoney resigning. And thank you to everybody else who joined on the show when I did appear as well. So much to dissect. So we'll be doing that in a bit more of a constructive way today. I'm joined by Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good, John. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Thank you. Not too bad. And joining us for the first time from the United Star is Atanu. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. Look, we'll do a bit more of a better introduction for you soon, but I just kind of wanted to give the guys a bit of an idea what to expect from today's show. So, of course, we did the Wednesday show. We all kind of let our emotions out. It was breaking news. We went live within 1 hour of hearing the news, and we didn't do that much detail. We didn't really do that much digging at the time. It was more about how we were feeling as fans. We had about 6, 7, 8 fans come on the show, kind of saying how disappointed and how shocked they were, and all kind of, it was really raw, that Wednesday programme. But since then, we've had a couple of statements we've had a statement from the club. We've had time to settle down now and kind of get more of a balanced view, I guess. But even so, I don't think my opinion's changing too much, if I'm honest. I'm still really let down that Casey Stoney feels a need to want to leave this club. Obviously, we don't know, and we may never know the real reasons behind it, but we've seen quite a few statements. Anyone who follows All for United and follows me, Matt and Natalie on Twitter, I think we've been very vocal on. We know the fact that things have been not quite right since the new year. I was surprised that it's got this far. I'm not surprised that Casey's unhappy, but I was surprised that it's got as far as it has. Matt, I'll bring you in first. Since the breaking news, more and more is coming out about the club not doing this, not doing that. Is this your kind of mindset where you are? Do you think that the club's kind of let a women's team down a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way of putting it, really. Shambolic. I think my tweets went a little bit further. I'm not going to say what they said because there was a couple of expletives, but I think massively let everybody down. Not just the manager, the fans as well. And yeah, it's hard to sum up my disappointment, really. It really is. I mean, the stuff you read, we had a show, didn't we, not long ago, and we talked about potential ongoings behind the scenes, and it was one of them at the start of May I tweeted. It was actually in response to Arsenal, an Arsenal player leaving, and about backing the manager. And I said, if you don't back your manager and put your money where your mouth is, there's going to be trouble. And then 2 weeks later, look what we've got. And I mean, I don't know. Like you said, we've had a couple of days now to digest it, but it doesn't make it any better. Yeah, I think letdown's the politest way I can put it. It really is. I've been critical of other clubs that have been sort of letting down their players, the likes of Birmingham, for example, and I think it's pretty poor. And to see it come from a club like us, I don't know. Words fail me, they really do, because we're not talking like a Birmingham, and no disrespect, or one of the championship clubs. We're talking a top 4 club, the biggest club in England, maybe even the world, that can't be bothered to put their hands in the pockets for a little bit of a budget, toilets or proper toilets, showers. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, everyone says, oh, COVID this and COVID that. That's poor. That's a cop-out. That's an excuse. There's no reason, why we can't sort something, even if they would have, done a makeshift block of toilets, but to have to walk 10 minutes.
Yeah, ridiculous.
For something that's a basic human right. Absolutely disgusting. And yeah, I don't know how you'd really summarize it. Like I say, it's just poor all around, really, I think.
I know she's only announced it on Wednesday. I think she told the players earlier on in the day, and I think told the staff. I can't remember. I think she told the staff first, and then the players shortly after. Do you think that this has been kind of on the cards for a lot longer? Obviously, we heard the rumours about Casey going to America. That was only a rumour, of course, at this point. But do you think it's been on the cards a lot longer than that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, we've read, haven't we, that it's been brewing for, they say a couple of months, but I think for me, I'd probably say Christmas. I think obviously the Dubai stuff didn't help. And then since then, it's just been one of them where she's blamed herself for a lot, hasn't she? I think it was for me by Casey constantly.
Matt is breaking up a little bit, so I'm gonna move on to Atanu, and I just want to kind of just get your background a little bit first. Matt, if you can hear me, just bear with me a second. You was breaking up a little bit. I think you've come back now, but I'm just going to hear Atanu. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background as a United women's fan, and just a little bit about you, because obviously it's your first time on the show.
Yeah, so I've been a United fan since 2012-2013 season. And I got to know about the women's team back in 2018, but started following them in the pandemic from 2020. So my first game was that I watched was against West Ham, which we won 4-2.
Yeah.
Russo scored the brace. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that was my first game, and after that, I fell in love with the team and started watching AVT.
Yeah. What kind of got you interested in the team? Was it just the fact that you saw them on Twitter, a few comments here and there? You mentioned, I'm sure you don't mind me saying this, you mentioned Namrata, who's in the comments right now. Was it somebody else who got you involved in the women's team, or did you just kind of see like little things on Twitter here and there?
Like, I started watching a thing here and there on Twitter, and then I thought that Manchester United Football Club is more than just the men's team, so I started following the women's team as well. So that was the main thing.
And you've recently joined the United Star, is that correct?
Yeah, a few weeks back.
So, just for anyone who's watching, I think it's only fair that we give them a bit of a shout out. What can people expect to see from the United Star?
Yeah, in a couple of months, we'll be starting with the women's content and the academy content in a full go. So stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's great to see a YouTube channel that's got men's content, academy content, and women's content as well. So obviously, as a women's Man United women's fan, what was your thoughts when you first heard the news back on Wednesday 3:30? Was you shocked as I was?
Yeah, I was very shocked that Casey had stepped down. I thought that this was coming in a few weeks, but not now, because we have seen that the lack of investment in the women's team has been quite shocking recently. The club assured Casey some things, and they promised things, but they didn't actually accomplish those things. So yeah, it was a shock. Obviously, I'm still in denial that she won't be our manager next season. So yeah.
I see. If I was speaking to Matt for a voice note earlier, and I made the mistake of calling Casey our manager next season or something, I think we talked about press conferences, wasn't we, Matt? And I said I want to do like a show next season, basically, where we talk about Casey Stoney's press conferences and tweets and quotes. And obviously, it just occurred to me as soon as I said it. Oh, what am I saying? She's not going to be with us. And to me, Man United women's team has always been Casey Stoney, and I know a few fans out there will want to move on quicker than I am prepared to move on. Me personally, I'm not even considering the new manager just yet. I want to give Casey Stoney a good send off first. I think it's what she deserves. Whether or not the club will give her that good send off, I think they should do. And maybe I can get Matt's thoughts on that shortly. But for me, let's get this season out of the way. She's got to play her last game. We'll manage the last game. Then we'll do a bit of a goodbye for Casey, and then obviously we do need to move on because we do support a club, we don't support a manager or a player. But to me, Casey Stoney is a massive loss, and I'm going to continue to say it until the new manager comes in. And then of course I'll support that new manager. But Matt, how do you think it's going with the club at the moment? Because I'm hearing a few messages really that, and we can see it ourselves, the club's not doing too much for Casey at the moment, are they? Do you think it's just a bit of a waiting game until the end of, when she does actually leave, maybe Sunday, Monday morning or something like that?
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me knowing the club if this has been, decided a few months back, like when she said she was at breaking point and they've already been putting the wheels in motion. It really wouldn't surprise me if they'd gone behind her back and she had no idea, because that's the sort of club and the sort of owner she's dealing with. Yeah, I think I'm going to, before I was breaking up, I was sort of touching on your point and you're saying about, do I think this has been going on for a while? I think, like I was saying, since sort of Christmas in Dubai, she seems to blame herself for a lot. And you could kind of see, couldn't you, in press conferences, and she was putting a lot on herself, and it was a bit odd. And obviously, like I say, we talked to fans and we said there must be something going on. And Ben's been very vocal, hasn't he, saying budgets were cut and all this, and he was spot on. I think training facilities was a cop-out. It was a mask, wasn't it? With everything that's going on, all the protests, they thought, oh, well, yeah, we can probably get away with blaming that, but it's actually come out that it's actually financial as well. And whether she's missed target or not been given the money, I think will be a big thing. But it's one of them, in 2018, her words were she wants to grow this team so that it'll be the biggest women's team going and that every little girl will have the opportunity to play for Man United. And that was, like I say, when she was a kid. Now, look at that 3 years down the line and she's had enough. And it's like, what a massive shame, I think is probably the correct word that I can use that's sort of, acceptable to viewers. But I think, it's just, I don't know, it's a kick in the teeth, because I tweeted the other day, like, where do we actually go? We should be organising pre-season now. Now, we don't even know where we're training. So how can we get on with pre-season? We've got no manager. It blows all the transfer plans out the window, because now, listen, pre-contracts may be agreed, but contracts can get ripped up. It's happened before. Viewers probably won't know that, but there was an incident after season 1 that a defender should have come in, and Abby McManus came in instead, and we tore up the pre-contract. So, things change, and I think it is worrying that it's end of the season and it's panic time. And I look who's out there, and people are chucking names, and I'm saying no at them all. I'm thinking, right, let's have a look. No, let's have a look there. No, and you need somebody that's elite, somebody that's got that winning mentality. But before you get any of that, there needs to be change, because you don't want it to become like a revolving door where somebody comes in and they're promised everything like she was, and then we're sat in the same predicament 2 or 3 years down the line. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I really don't know how I can sum up the disappointment, really. It's just a massive, huge mess.
I think that's a great way to end that little speech there, Matt, because that's exactly where we are. It's a huge mess, because she should have never been in a position where she feels that she needs to leave this club. You mentioned it like a 5-year plan. We've all mentioned it. We're halfway through that, and we was 2 points. Well, I call it 2 points off Champions League because of the goal difference. She had the backing from the fans completely, and we can all see progression. Yes, we've all mentioned, yourself including Matt, that we're disappointed in finishing 4th and not 3rd from where it was, but generally there is still progression. A few more signings, and there's people in the comments, a few more extra signings this summer would have just pushed us over the edge, and hopefully would have got 3rd, which is what we do need next season. And then this new manager who comes in, whoever it is, has got a massive challenge ahead of them to get used to the club, get used to pretty much how it runs on and off the pitch, to get us a 3rd. Because if you don't get us 3rd next season, then that would be a failure. You could argue that, yes, they've done a good job just to maintain 4th when there's a change of manager. But if Casey stayed here with the way she was going, she would have got us to 3rd next year. 100%. You have to kind of say that based on the progression already. And just sticking with you one more time there, Matt, before I bring Tanu back in. We've been saying that things have been going on behind the scenes for a long time, haven't we? And I think it was only a couple of weeks ago, I was getting quite passionate, and I was saying something isn't right, because the way Casey's speaking is completely different. The way the players haven't reacted, not necessarily reacted to Casey. I just kept on using the analogy of myself working in retail, that if my boss is on my mind it rubs off on the rest of the team, and it looks like now that that's exactly what's happened. As you mentioned, it's been going on for a while, hasn't it? So we've mentioned it, but I just didn't think it would actually go this far. The case would actually decide to leave.
Yeah, I think it's one of them, isn't it? Like you say, it starts to affect players, and it's difficult because it could cost you on the pitch as well, which obviously is no point of Casey's. But at the end of the day, if you promise things and they don't come, listen, Casey's not somebody that quits easily and quits lightheartedly, which makes me think it's there has been going on for a while, and she just come to the end of breaking point. It's just happened to be at the end of the season. And yeah, it's just a case of broken promises, isn't it? Like I say, it's. I don't know, John. I'm actually struggling for words. Even though we've had a couple of days to sort of sort this, it's just broken promises, and somebody that never, like I say, never quits. Keeps going regardless of situation. Has now reached breaking point, and it's a massively sad state of affairs. It really is. It feels like whoever comes in now will basically feel like we're starting again. It feels like season 1, but in the WSL, and that we've got what we've got, but a new manager like this has to come in, buy into sort of the club ethos and learn new players and the best way to play them and how they work and what to do in training, and then who needs to come in. And it's like, obviously Casey's laid some fantastic foundations, and let's not kid ourselves, she's done incredible, but it's like it's difficult for somebody new coming in. And I always link it to something like, obviously I work in football, and I always link it like, if I was to write up a training session and then give it to somebody else, it's not going to be what I want, and it's not going to be the same because each interprets things differently. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be foundations with somebody coming in to stamp their authority on it, but it's not going to be, what's the word? It's not going to be there or correct because, like I say, we're sort of starting again from sort of square one, really.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I agree completely. And a great chance for us to catch up with Atanu now, in the sense of obviously you've not followed us from the very beginning, obviously not regarding watching the matches, but Matt's on about the fact that we've laid the foundations down there. How do you think Casey has done, the fact that she's got us to where she has within 3 seasons, and all of a sudden now she's just suddenly gone?
Yeah, I mean, Matt is right that she has laid a foundation. So if you think about it, she came in 2018 and she was given assurances that we'll provide this, we'll provide that. So over a period of time, Casey came to know that those assurances weren't going to be fulfilled. But even then, she, from the way she carried the team and shielded players during that Dubai Gate incident also. So I think getting from the championship in 2018 to 2021 in 4th position in the WSL, it's a big achievement considering what all has been given to her. Of course, her stepping down is actually a bit of a shock, but considering like I always say that the lack of investment towards the women's team is actually shocking. So she has laid the foundation, but let's see who carries it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As for this season, do you think that are you in the boat where me and Matt kind of differ a little bit on opinion here, but I've still seen the season as I think the wording's probably slightly different. We're both disappointed. I would see the season. I would use the word progression. Casey and Matt use the words. I'm backing you up here, Matt. I'm saying that Casey as failure. Where do you kind of see the season, Atania, with the fact that we did, after the first 11 games, Christmas time, we was top of the league, and then we're not even in Champions League. Do you kind of see it as a failure, or do you look at it where the glass is half full, where it's a progression on last season, and there was an opportunity there for next season?
Yeah, I mean, progress has been there. And I agree that the first half of the season was pretty good. I was really impressed, and I thought that we would be first at the end. Towards January mid, I suppose 17th January, we were pretty good. After that, we started losing games, and once Tobin, Leah, and Russo got injured, the you know the vulnerability of the squad was pretty clear that we need the areas that we need to improve on.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's progress at the end of the day, but I also feel like it was a bit of a failure that we didn't get the top three and we didn't get into the UWCL. And Casey also said that it was a failure on her part, and that she couldn't get the Champions League spot. If you ask me, I'll rate the season 9 out of 10 for the first half, and the second half I'll rate 7 or 6.5.
I think it's true that you should split it up into two halves. I definitely consider the second half of the season as a failure, absolutely. But again, Casey, as always, and we were discussing this before we came on air, she's the one that takes the blame for everything, and she brings it on herself. She always says in her interviews, I should have done this, I changed at half time because I made the mistake, or at the full time. And I think even now, even when she knew that she was leaving, she still turned around and said that I'm blaming myself, and I'm not blaming the players. And I think that's again, it's typical Casey, taking the blame for everything. She didn't need to do that when she knew at that point that she was going to leave. She could have said anything she wanted, but again, she's protecting the players as she always does. Dubai Gate, she protected the players, and that's something that potentially we will miss it. I don't know who's going to come in and whether or not they're the same kind of mentality. And again, it just makes me think how close she was to the players. And again, I'm changing the subject here, but I'm just thinking about how disappointing it is. It is that she's going. Thank you to everybody in the comments. We had over 80 people, 85 people watching at one point there. So please hit the thumbs up if you like what we're doing with the women's content. And on that note, our women's YouTube channel is finally ready. We're going to start sharing the account so you can all start subscribing so you don't miss any shows. The Thursday/Friday show will still appear on this channel, the main channel, but about 3 or 4 shows a week will be also on our new YouTube channel, which is purely dedicated to the women's team. So you'll see a lot of Matt on there, me, Natalie, Ben, and a few others as well. So please look out for that tweet on our account, and you can please subscribe so you don't miss any shows, because we will be still banging in quite a few shows over the summer. As for the comments, we've got quite a few comments coming in. Vicky, first half of the season was perfect. Second, an absolute nightmare, absolutely. And that's the thing, we had so much going on. The injuries potentially were just a small thing looking back. It could have been so many distractions behind the scenes. The injuries may not have been the be all and end all. One person take over, that's Phil Neville. Stuart Beatty says, I mentioned Phil Neville on Wednesday's show. I'm not saying that I want him, I'm not saying he's a front runner, but we was talking about we need someone who's got experience in women's football, but also Manchester United potentially. I know Phil Neville's only been over there for probably less than a year, but you never know if the Glazers come calling. I'm sure he might be definitely interested in that. LJ seems ecstatic to be joining Chelsea. I saw something on, was it Twitter today, or I saw it had something or another. If LJ does end up going, then, which it looks like obviously she is, you can't blame her, and maybe she's gone because she knew that a new manager was going to come in. It could be to do with that, couldn't it? Who knows? There's so much going on. So many comments. Keep the comments coming in. Matt, let's talk a little bit about your mindset then now, just regarding the Casey Stoney leaving. Are you feeling anger at the club? Are you feeling a bit like, is it now time to start moving on and kind of think, okay, well, Casey's gone now, we need to move on? What's your kind of mentality there?
I think for me personally, it's difficult to move on so quickly because, let's not forget, this is a person that's made a fan base, become obsessed. For me, it's literally been like I want to say life, really. I think since season 1, there was always something to look forward to. We enjoyed the social aspect, and it was one of them for me where if you had a bit of a bad week or a bad week at work, you always had the game to look forward to. And it was one of them where even season 2, and obviously we've not been in this year, but the bits that we did get into, sort of season 1 and last year, you were made to feel like part of a family. And it's quite rare that, and Casey always came out and said, that the fans are, absolutely brilliant. And, Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to move on because, like I say, it's still raw and it's still 2 days old. I just think everything we've built up, and it feels like we've been on a journey together. It really does, you know. And it's been a process, and now it's just being dragged away. So I feel anger's not strong enough. Like I really do. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to summarize, but yeah, I don't know, John. It really. I'm not usually lost for words like this, but I think this just sums up the sort of, like I said, the disappointment, the anger, the frustration, the whole shambolicness of it, because it should have never happened. It has, and I mean, you know, you look at, like I say, the protests about the ownership, and you think, you know what, am I surprised? Looking back and reflecting on it, probably not. You know, we didn't think it would happen, and it came out the blue. But I think you tweeted, John, didn't the other day, and it's just reminded me of that comment there about the manager having more ambition than the owners. And it's like, you know, spot on. Couldn't have agreed more. You know, it shouldn't be the case, but it is the case. And they should both be singing off the same hymn sheet. And we always knew Casey was a winner. We always knew she wanted the very best. And like you said, you know, she takes a lot of lack. And listen, there's been times where, you know, I won't be the only one myself, and other fans have been thinking, like, you know, what's this? What tactics are these? Or why is such a player playing? But listen, at the end of the day, it was never personal. And I think, yeah, it's just, like I say, it's difficult because I'm still, like I said, you know, a few minutes ago, I'm still sat wondering, where do we go? And it's a bit of a worry. Like, you know, we've been there and we've come fourth, okay. And it was like, right, okay, next year we're going to have a good go at it. Let's go for some trophies. All we need is probably 5, 6, 7 signings, couple of outs, and hit the ground running. And I think ever since like Christmas, you know, they were saying that at Lee there were frozen pitches, and that's why we moved. But I think since Christmas, not only has there been a decline on the field, but we now know there's been a massive decline off the field. And I know you said earlier, didn't you, about injuries have only been a part of it, and now that's ringing true. You know, we've never sort of, I mean, as fans anyway, we've never looked to really blame injuries because it's part of the parcel of the game. Yes, we've been hugely unfortunate, but it's been like, you know, now we realise that actually she's been battling with injuries. She's been lied to and stabbed in the back by the board, directors, whoever's over the women's side that's in contact with, you know, the likes of Ed and the Glazers and whoever else. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I say, it's disappointing, and I know I keep repeating myself, but it's like come to a conclusion over it. But I think, like I say, I feel like me personally, I can't move on yet because it's still raw and it's still an emotion. Like, I think we saw things as well. A couple of journalists broke it before the club, which speaks volumes about the club, really. And it was kind of like, I didn't believe it. I thought, just, you know, it was one of them. But yeah, I think just reading comments now, the garbage is polite as well. I want to go work. I saved that for my tweets. But yeah, no, it's just, I don't know, John. It really is. It's difficult, put it that way. But
yeah, I'm going to read a few quotes out, and then we'll react to those quotes, and then obviously we'll move on to the Leicester preview. But and please don't take any offence to people in the comments or people on Twitter who've seen this. But the questions about, you know, within a few minutes of the news breaking, people were saying, okay, so who's going to take over now? For someone like me and you, Matt, who's been there from the beginning and who talk about United every day on Twitter, and then we're on YouTube like 4 times a week, 5 if you include match days. When we're not on YouTube, we're discussing it behind the scenes. And for me, I think it's insulting to be saying who's our next manager. For me, it's not even in my head at the moment, and I can see why. And if it was another club, I'll be speculating as well. For me personally, I can't even think about the new manager, and I will be soon. I'm sure in a few days' time, especially after the Leicester game, yeah, my attention might turn. But at the moment, I just feel that I think it's insulting. But anyway, that's just my opinion because that's the way I feel about Casey. But I'll be exactly the same if the Arsenal manager obviously leaves, and then I'll be saying, okay, who's going to go there? So I completely understand it. But for me personally, at the moment, I don't want to be thinking about the next person in line. If my computer holds up, because it's an old computer, I'm just going to read a few quotes. So first of all, I'm going to just read a quote from what Ed Woodward said. So, Matt, if you want to give me your thoughts on this one, and then we'll move on to what somebody else has said. So, Ed Woodward on the official website said, Casey has been a driving force behind the success of our women's team since she joined the club in 2018. She has been an inspiration to her players and staff, to everyone at the club, and to the fans. Everybody at Manchester United thanks her for her unstinting hard work and dedication and pays tribute to her achievements. she will always be a part of the Manchester United family. Obviously, it's quite a generic statement, but I think there's a lot of truth there. I don't know if Ed Woodward believes that. I can't see why he shouldn't, but I think it's absolutely right. I think she's just being loved by everyone. Is that kind of the impression that you get from Casey as well, Matt?
Absolutely, yeah. Listen, like I said, a couple of minutes ago, I think sometimes fans have only questioned decisions on the pitch in terms of, wanting to win. But I think, anyone that you speak to doesn't have a bad word to say about Casey. I think, like I say, you speak to a lot of people on Twitter and in person throughout the week, and nobody's a bad word. Nobody's said anything that, absolutely way out of line, from what I've seen. I think it's one of them. I mean, Ed's kind of right in what he says, but it feels like empty words. It feels scripted to me because I think, he's probably been told, somebody's giving that line because there's no way. I mean, the geezer probably doesn't have a clue what's happened to the women's team, but seeing in the comments say he didn't even write that, I'd agree. I think that's why, to correct, but it's not come from him and it's not come from the heart. I think you may as well give it one of the fans and we could have done an essay on it. We really could. So, like I say, whilst I appreciate the comments, I don't think they're meaningful. For me, it feels like empty words, which makes it meaningless. That said, the comments are correct. Like, she's loved by everybody. Fantastic job. She's worked hard. She's worked under ridiculously stupid conditions put on her by the club. But yes, it's another one of them PR spewed out, quick, let's throw something together exercises, isn't it? And it's disappointing. It's not, it seems like it was just, I know people have been critical of it, haven't they? Because they're not sort of tagged her in it and things, but it just seems like it's a bit poor, really. It's like a page, if that, half a page just thrown together. Ed said something. I think, did John Murto say something on the statement? I can't even remember, John, but it was just a couple of things together. And you think, well, hang on, after 3 years of blood, sweat and tears, and you come out, oh, thanks, and somebody else says thanks, and it's all spewed and it's all similar. It's just like, it's a no from me. It's poor, really.
100%. And obviously there's some sort of animosity between them, or else, I would have said you'd build a statue after 3 years, but she deserves something, doesn't she? She definitely deserves something. And even the Twitter account, and I know Gareth, who's on this show, kind of, I wouldn't say defended the Twitter account, but kind of saw the other side of it. But even the announcement was so bland and generic, with no emotion in there whatsoever. And we do know that the Twitter account has got emotion because sometimes they have a bit of fun with us. Do just a bog standard generic message saying that she stepped down, or I can't even remember now. And that kind of riled me up. And what I'm about to say now as well on what John Murto says reminds me of the letter that was the open letter to the fans that came out last week. It's almost as if these quotes from the directors are basically, it's almost as if they've turned around and said to their PR team, right, what do the fans want to hear? They want to hear about this, and this. Okay, so let's put a sentence about this, and this, and that's it. And let me read out what the new director of football has said. And I do appreciate that he knows the women's side a bit more than maybe Ed Woodward. But this is what John Murto said on the situation. Manchester United is completely committed to its women's team and to building on the legacy of Casey's achievements as we move forwards. With the recent historic game at Old Trafford and the impact the team has made in the Women's Super League, the future is bright. While we are sad to see Casey leave, the team and the operation will continue to go from strength to strength. Again, it's one of those messages which is quite a generic message. To me, I just think them saying what they need to say. And it's, surely you can be a bit more heartfelt and talk about Casey as a person. It's nothing like that to me. It's just like, okay, this is what we need to say. Let's just say it. Tanya, what are your thoughts on what the directors of the football club are saying with those comments?
Yeah, like Matt said, they are just words, and probably they are being fed to them through the PR team. I think that the thing that really bothers me is that the club uses this hashtag of all red, all equal on the one hand, and on the other hand, they usually don't treat all equally. If we say the facilities that are being provided to the women's team, the report came that the showers weren't there initially, and players had to walk 10 minutes to use the washroom.
Yeah.
So if like, would they do it to the men's team? I don't think so. They their priority seems to be only the men's team, and right now men's team are also struggling if you think about it. But like when the club was formed in 2018, there must have been some long-term planning that we'll do this, we'll do that. Like there was the statement from United itself when the team was formed that they would renovate the Cliff United men's previous training ground. In 2018, they said this, and now till now there has been nothing. And I know that Glazers will use that pandemic card, like the pandemic came and we weren't prepared for it. So yeah, the directors would obviously support the manager while she's leaving, and obviously she has a good rapport with the players and the staff as well. But they are just words. If
Yeah.
tomorrow there is someone else in place of Casey, they would have said the same things, even if he hadn't done anything like what Casey did.
I thoroughly agree. I really do. And Dave's got a great comment on screen there as well. Thank you, Dave. And to everybody who's new to the channel, please subscribe. Please come to our Twitter account as well, the All for United Women's WFC account, because we'll be launching our new YouTube channel next week, where you'll be just getting purely women's team content. So you don't need to go through the men's content if that's not really your thing. Do you want to just jump on that training camp kind of thing there, Matt, before we talk about Casey's quotes?
On the what? Sorry.
Sorry, like the training facilities and stuff like that. What has been coming out in the last few days?
The thing was, this Cliff thing, I think it's been put in by the media, because from what I was told by a player / a few parents, it was never an option. And it was never an option, one, because they weren't willing to invest in it, and two, because the Cliff wasn't big enough. Now, I think anyone that's been to the Cliff in recent years, when it's used by like Academy, RTC, under 18s, it was for games. It's like the main building, there's one pitch, and then there's the indoor dome. Now, the indoor thing isn't suitable because it's 3G, and it's quite dangerous in terms of picking up injuries. So that leaves one pitch, which isn't in the best state. There's nowhere to accommodate fans. In terms of extending it, it's not possible to make it big enough. And then Carrington is old and outdated. Not sure about the land around it. I don't know if we own it, but there is a big farm at one end, which we don't own, so we can't extend that way. But I think it's difficult because people are bashing Lee, and personally, I've never really seen Lee as the problem. I mean, okay, the pitches are frozen, but in terms of facility, you know, the men's under 23s have trained there. They don't always have used it as one-offs when Carrington's been whatever out of action or being built on. You know, we use the pitch there, like I say. The men's 23s and 18s have used it. The rugby team use it. And for me, you know, it's not been an issue. I think that was probably better in hindsight now than Carrington has been or is, because of just the mess it's in. Like, the thing with Lee is, obviously, it's quite open. You know, they had to share a gym with the public, which in recent times isn't possible. However, they did have the kind of set up in the ground with the gym, which wasn't great, but it was okay. And it was more, like I say, the pitches over winter, which was the issue. Now, for me, the way around that would have been to liaise with ground staff or use their own ground staff, cover the pitches. They've got the heaters on the pitches. Lee's got undersoil heating. So it could have been, I think, with some help to the manager and some preparation, it could have been sorted, and it's not been sorted. And then we've been scraping and scrambling around, and we've bounced between the Cliff, Carrington, and Lee, and it's just been a mess. I think we will end up back there, if I'm honest. You know, there's talk about, oh, well, we can accommodate them at Carrington, but in a year, which is no use. So, yeah, I think it's just a whole big letdown, isn't it? I mean, this is why I kind of worry. I mean, I know you said, John, about you not thinking about another manager, but I think for me, like I say, having worked in professional football and now sort of in semi-pro, you know, you do plan these things months in advance, and this should be done. And the worry for me is that somebody's not sorted, or not that we know of, like I say, unless they've sort of done it behind the scenes months ago. But we need somebody to come in. It needs to get sorted because of the pressing issue of pre-season. In case he talked about a disrupted pre-season and players missing it, and you're thinking, well, God, you know, if it's been affected, what's it going to be like this year with no manager? We still don't know what's happening with coaching staff. Will they walk as well? So it's just a big mess. But yeah, I'm not going to go on too much because I'm cautious of time. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. You know, it is. It's an absolute disgrace, and I don't know. Yeah, we need a big shake up in summer. Put it that way, not just playing staff.
100%, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, anyone who doesn't follow Emma Sanders, a BBC journalist, please do. She's fantastic for this club and for the fans. The questions that she asks Casey, I'll say Casey. I'm still thinking now she won't be asking Casey Man United questions again, will she? But she's really good, and she's written an article, and obviously she's picked a few quotes from what Casey said as well. So I'm just going to read out a few quotes from what Casey said on the situation if you haven't heard it already. Casey said, it has been an honour to lead the women's team at this great club, and this has been an incredibly tough decision. Having come on board to start the team from scratch, then winning the Women's Championship in our first season, we have now successfully established the team as a force in the Women's Super League. I have loved leading this group and I am proud of what we have achieved together. However, after a difficult season with disruption caused by the pandemic, I now feel that the time is right to take some time away and for someone else to lead this team to the next stage of its journey. I want to thank the club, all of the fantastic fans, staff, and the players for an incredible experience that we have shared over the past 3 years. I still can't believe that I'm reading out a goodbye kind of tweets, to be honest. I am conscious of the time. Yehuda, thank you for that, mate. Yeah, please hit the like button. Yeah, I'm going to move on to the Leicester preview, but please put your comments in there regarding what you thought of Casey's quotes, and is she just saying things just for the sake of saying them because she doesn't want to disrupt anything, because that's not the way she is. But when people start talking about personal reasons, to me, it's a smoke screen. You can say personal reasons and you can't touch them. You know, when you say personal reasons, you just have to back away, because it could, in other words, it's another way of saying, I'm not going to tell you the truth. It's personal reasons. It's so bland. Move on. So speaking about moving on, Leicester City, last game of the season, completely took the shine off it. I think this announcement has took the shine off the season, in my opinion. Obviously, Matthew, you're going to be looking forward to it, but I just want to get Atanu's thoughts on the FA Cup, the fact that, you know, we have still got one more game to play. It's an important game. We want to progress to the next round. It's a bit weird that the next round is going to be in the next season with a different manager, but that is the way it is. What are your thoughts going into this game?
Can I say one? Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah. First of all, Tooney has to start, obviously. 10 goals against Leicester. Yeah. Like, I'm looking forward to it that Tooney might start, and for the first time, I might see her score 5 goals. And about the last game, Casey Stoney is the manager, so it has to be memorable when the players have to be on their toes and give a memorable win and advance to the next round, which is probably in September, I think. Yeah, so like, I still can't believe that this is the last game that Casey Stoney is managing for United. So yeah, no more thing.
What do you think the players will be thinking now, and the way the players will attack this game, Atanu? Because obviously they're going to be massively disappointed. They're going to be worried in the back of their minds. You know, is their career safe now? Because, for example, I'm not going to name names actually, but there's players that's probably signed a contract in the last year or two who thought to themselves, "Yeah, I love it at the club. I love the fans, and I love the manager." What happened? And maybe the manager loves them. All of a sudden now, these players might be thinking, I've got to start all over again now with a new manager coming in. So I'm under contract, I might still get sold or whatever, or moved on. So they've got that in their mind. But also, I'm sure they want to give Casey Stoney a win, but also they want to win for themselves and win for the fans and win for the badge. But the emotion of the players on the final game of the season now must be absolutely everywhere, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of a, emotional moment for them, because Casey has been with them since the beginning, when she built the team from the ground up. And on the other hand, they would be looking at, kind of an audition for the next season, whether they'll be given a new contract or not. So that depends on who all start. Basically, I think we'll stick with the previous team minus Kristen Press and Jackie Groneman.
Yeah, well, we haven't even mentioned Jackie, have we? The fact that she's back in the Netherlands, but that's something that we might have to discuss on a separate show. But Matt, I mean, what are your thoughts going into this game and the whole build-up to it? And obviously, I know that you know a lot about Leicester, and anybody who doesn't follow the account, Matt does actually go to some Leicester games as well. There's a bit of media work there. Knows a couple of the players. You know, what are your thoughts going into this game, Matt?
Yeah, I think I was, when I incorrectly heard your question before, I was saying a little bit worried now. I think, you know, it's probably disrupted the preparations of the week, hasn't it? Probably unsettled the players. Like you touched on, Jackie's in Holland. Not sure why. Must have been some sort of agreement. Kristen Press had just disappeared back to LA. So it's like, oh my days. Plus, we're still got Riz. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of them. It still shouldn't, in my view, affect really the result. We've still got enough quality regardless of what's gone on. And I think, was it? Yeah, it's Vix there. She says players will still want to win for Casey. I'd agree. I think you've got to go out on a high now. It should be extra motivation really to put in that extra 5%. I mean, that's not to say that they don't, but do you know what I mean? Like to raise it even more and to really go all guns blazing. But it will be sort of, you know, emotional, won't it? Difficult at that final whistle, knowing that, you know, that's it. But I think, yeah, you know, I think, what did I say on Tuesday? I think I said 3-1 in terms of score. So I'm probably jumping ahead of your points there, John, with a prediction. But I'd like to think we can get it done. You know, like I say, there's a couple of players that may pose us issues from Leicester. And they'll be massive.
I've just had to remove Matt there again. Every now and again, his Wi-Fi does cut out. That's good on Manchester for you. We all get it. Let me just quickly type to Matt. 1 second. There we go. Let's try and get him back in. Can you hear us there, Matt?
Yeah, I got you now, John. Can you hear me?
Yeah, spot on, mate. You carry on, mate.
Yeah, I was just saying, there's a couple of players that could hurt us, and like I was saying, I caught their press conference, and I think they've got a fully fit squad, apart from Charlie Doubtful, which I think secretly she's gutted about, but it's one of them, you know, it kind of helps us, doesn't it? But yeah, we've just got it. It's going to be, I said on Tuesday, showing me and Gareth, it's going to be a midfield battle, but it's now a midfield battle where we've lost probably one of our better midfielders in Jackie. So, I mean, what happens remains to be seen, but I still think, and what I said on Tuesday was we need to go full strength. Can't underestimate them. We've got to go all guns blazing and just get in the next round, really, and see where it takes us.
You mentioned the Tuesday show there, and I want you to come back to that in a second. Do we know if Rousseau is available to play? I don't think she will be. I'll be very surprised. But I think she's available to be in the squad. But I think last time I heard Casey was kind of managing her season, which basically means that it's unlikely. But I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I think it's unlikely. Matt, you mentioned the Tuesday show there. For anyone who missed it, because people might not watch our Twitter, what did that Tuesday show consist of? Just so people can tune in to watch it if they want a bit more detail of a preview.
Yeah, sure. So I know that is part of the Leicester City Supporters Club, Hannah. She's a Canadian Leicester fan. She hosts a podcast similar to us, like I say, in partnership with the Supporters Club. They've had sort of do everything pretty much exactly the same as ours, you know, game reviews, previews, interviews with players. They've been lucky to do that with their team because the club are more accommodating than ours. But yeah, we just chatted about the game, really, compared sort of our season, their season, thoughts on the game, who to watch out for. And yeah, it was, you know, it was brilliant.
He's done well to last this long, to be honest. There's a few comments in there about who should be playing on the wing, because we've seen throughout the last few weeks, obviously a lot of injuries have happened, and we saw Tooney play there on the last game, and she's played there quite a bit this season. What are your thoughts on that? Would you like to see Hanson and Galton on the wings?
Yeah, like if this is the last game of the season, so I think Leah has totally recovered from her injury. So I would want her to start on the left wing and Hansen on the right wing with Jane Ross or Jessica Sigsworth up front.
And obviously now Jackie, I think maybe the midfield might speak for itself with Staniforth, Zellum, and I don't know, maybe Tooney will have to play there.
Tooney has to play the camp in the number 10 position.
Yeah. I think that's always my preference. She has to be our attacking centre midfielder 100% because she's so good at it. Like I say, scored so many goals this season. Matt, I'm just going to bring you back in. Can you hear me, Matt?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
Dreadful.
It's fine. I can't remember what you were saying at the end because you were breaking up a little
about
bit.
the Tuesday show. Yeah, I was just saying basically, we previewed both club seasons. Talk about
He's having a right nightmare, isn't he?
Players who talk about it's
Carry on, Matt. You might have come back.
Yeah, right. Sorry. I was saying, give each other stick, discuss the game, and yeah, it was a good show, like I say. Really enjoyable. Got some great comments from people. Learned a lot about each other's clubs, or Hannah did, should I say, about ours. But yeah, it was just good. Like I say, it's always good to hear from sort of, other people. Yehuda's spot on. Manchester Wi-Fi costs us a fortune and delivers very little. Yehuda, it's like BT. Well, it is BT. It's the same as the football coverage. Football coverage is dreadful. The Wi-Fi is dreadful, and it's just a shambles. So BT will be getting sacked from my internet very soon, just like the football team will be. But yeah, like I say, it was just a basic preview really for an hour. Like I say, I had a bit of fun with it as well. Neighbours got the Wi-Fi. Probably all streets got the Wi-Fi, but yeah, picks and chooses its days. Like I say, I'm still blaming BT for the shocking service, especially when they charge you for fixing it and it's still broke. Yeah, like I say, check out the show from Tuesday. We will do our usual weekly roundup as well, and sort of put it out there. So yeah, good times, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's get a bit of a starting 11 kind of prediction from you, Matt, and then we'll get into some scores. Run through the plan for like the next few days who we're going to have on the shows, and then we'll wrap it up. And by the way, Natalie was supposed to be joining us tonight, but unfortunately she's got delayed where she's at the moment. So she is really sorry that she couldn't be here. She has tried to come, but it's just she just not made it in time. But I'm sure she'll be back on for our next show on Monday. So Matt, a bit of a starting 11 kind of prediction.
Well, I may as well read out my 11. Mary in goal, Owner and Smithy at fullback, the two Turners. Gonna have to go Leah on the left because we've no press. Tooney in the middle with Stanny, Hanson on the right, and up front we're gonna have to go Jess and who've we got left?
You're going to be Jane or Kirsty Hanson into Jane Ross or Hanson on the right then.
Yeah.
Ross up front again and Siggy on the right.
Johnny will get me shot. I don't like Jess on the right. Now I'm stuck. Do you know what? I think we might have to chuck Zellum in there maybe and 5 in midfield and then stick Jess up top and Hanson out wide right because there's no Jackie. It just throws everything. I don't even know if LJ's back still. Ask this every week. But yeah, I think we'll just go 4-5-1, John, because my head's gone and I can't think.
I think you probably
we'll go with that.
I think the back five, should speak for itself. As Tanya said earlier, I think it's going to be pretty much Zellum standing fourth and Tooney in the middle, Galt on one side, Hanson the other. Siggy and Ross can kind of like fight it out between them. Will Casey get sentimental on the last one and kind of play not a favourites, but maybe players who've been there from the start? Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Let us know in the comments who you would play up front. Is it going to be Ross? Is it going to be Siggy? It's going to be one of them. I would have thought. Score prediction.
in Holland, just to add. That.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. The score prediction then, guys. What are you thinking of Tadu?
Yeah, 3-1 or a 4-1 would do well as Casey's last game. But yeah, Casey's last game, so clean sheet has to be there. So I'll go for a 3-0.
Obviously, Matt, you know the team a little bit more. Leicester team. I mean, they're going to be up for this. They're going to be smelling a bit of blood as well. Maybe they want a massive momentum, being promoted as champions, as we were a couple of years ago. It's not going to be easy, is it, Matt? But can you see a few goals going in?
Well, I'm still going to stick my 3-1. I do think we will concede. I think that they're all right at set pieces, and we're not, or certainly not defending them anyway. But listen, me and Gareth talked about this on Tuesday. This is a team that's massively changed from when we beat them 11-1, all on a massive high from sort of a great season. And let's not forget that the underdogs, people are talking about, this and that, but there's no pressure on them to win. Now, they played Man City and they only lost 2-1, and everyone was like, it's going to be 5, it's going to be 6, it's going to be 7. They played Bristol and they should have won that. That was 1-0. They beat Reading in the FA Cup, and Reading, at the time, were a top 4 side. So, there is bits where it can hurt us, but I think still confident of getting the job done. But that said, there's a little bit there which makes me think, that yes, we will concede, but we should still manage. But again, it's like I said Tuesday, it's who turns up on the day and who dominates the midfield. The likes of Remy Allen could easily, she can stick herself about, no problem. Tasha Flint's had a great season. Lashante Paul, Hannah Kane, Charlie if she gets on the pitch. So there are a few, but I definitely don't think it's going to be. I'm not thinking 6 like that, but it's one of them. I think it could go one or two ways. It's either going to be quite close or it's going to be quite, probably like that. But I'm sticking with, like I say, sticking with 3-1. I think I said Tuesday, Tooney for 2 and Leah for 1. So I'm going to stick with that as well. But like I say, I think just can't go and underestimate them. I think everyone's thinking about that 11-1, but it's like there's nobody from that 11-1 loss that starts anymore. I think there's two, maybe 3 players left from it. And they've been on the bench most of the season, so I doubt they'd start. So, it's like I say, it's a completely new squad.
Yeah. I do like that. That's 6-0. I don't think it'll be 6-0 unless we get a couple of early goals right away, maybe, and something magical happens. And it should be that match, shouldn't it? I mean, there is a division between us. We should be a bit more confident than what we are. I'm confident of a win, but we should be banging 6-0 against these teams. I love them scorers, especially if Millie scores Casey's last goal. I think that would be very nice. Or even Jess, our top goal scorer the first season. Tooney, our top goal scorer this season. All of our top goal scorers, well, this is Tooney, I think. And Hanson, one of my favourite players. I'd love for that to happen. Let's just see. Let's just make sure that we get the win to end the season on a high. Matt, plans for the rest of the week then? So the next show will be tomorrow, won't it?
Yeah, me and Ben. So we're diving a little bit more, obviously, into the Casey thing. Obviously a little bit different to tonight because we've kind of talked on it, but we're going to look at it from a different angle again tomorrow. Sunday, we will have the pre-match analysis, but not half-time. So we're going to do pre-match only Sunday morning, that'll be, because obviously kick-off's 12. Obviously, Monday, you've got your match reaction. Tuesday, my show. And then, we kind of build from there. But as always, schedule will be out Sunday. A roundup of the weekly shows will also be out, and we'll pin that as well. So anything you've missed, catch up on. But, and then obviously throughout summer, keep tuned in because we're still bringing the content. We're not going to drop off like other clubs or other support groups. We're continuing to go. And again, I think Ben says it every Saturday, but if anybody wants to come on the Saturday show or even the Tuesday show, be more than happy to have you on either show. So I'll give myself, Benny or John or whoever a shout, or DM All for United. But like I say, good topics coming up. Lots of guests booked in. So onwards and upwards. Yeah,
we've got 4 journalists week after week after week after week. starting in, I think, 2 weeks' time. So, and they're all quality journalists that we all follow on Twitter. So, some of them have been on the show before, some haven't. So, please tune into that. And we keep mentioning like 4 or 5 shows a week. If you don't follow us on Twitter, then obviously you are missing a couple of shows a week. But if you do follow us on Twitter, those shows will be being transferred to our new YouTube channel as well. So, it's going to be a bit more easy to get hold of. So, yeah, loads of things to look forward to there. Atano, thank you very much for joining in. We always see your name in the comments, and obviously this time you're actually on screen. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, very much. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you. And if people want to find you on Twitter to talk about Manchester United or our women's team, how can they go about finding you on Twitter?
Yeah. Atanu_74.
Awesome. We've tagged you in as well, so if you can't find him, go onto the All for United account. Matt, what's your socials, mate, before we go?
Yeah, as always, at MattCrane15, Twitter. And if you want to follow the Instagram, just put a dot in between my first name and last name.
Awesome. Thanks for everyone to joining in tonight and all week. We had over 1,100 views from our Wednesday show, which is absolutely massive. It really is. So thank you to everybody who's joining in. Please retweet it if you want to get people involved in women's football. Just retweet it. And we're here, as Matt says, over the summer. We're not going anywhere. We've got loads of things lined up. So yeah, please keep tuning in and share it with your friends. And we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, guys.